Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Two Scrooges, a competitive Lorcana podcast. I am Scott, Bumi Jr. Alshanski. I am here with Dave, Attackfortwo Solberg. It's been a bit since we've last done one of these, so we've got a lot to talk about. But first, Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a minute, huh? Probably like a month and a half since the last time we were here.
Yeah, a lot has happened. We're not going to touch on old news for very long, but we will mention it. Since we last got together, cards have been banned. I have one thing to say about those two cards that have been banned, and that is Good Riddance.
Good riddance to Hiram. They got the wrong steel card.
I think I can agree with you there. You want Let the Storm Rage On out of here?
Yeah, but we'll talk.
Yeah.
At the end of the podcast, I want to circle back around to the Hiram ban when we're talking about set 8.
Okay.
But I don't know why Florida Sphere got the X.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that later. Additional news since we last got together. Rotation is coming to Lorcana. So starting in September with the release of Fabled, the first 4 sets are going to not be legal in Core Constructed anymore. They will remain legal in the Infinity format, which we'll probably find out more about later this year. And then also, what else? We found out that they are going to be reprinting some cards starting with Fabled, and we know that Fabled will be a large percentage of reprints.
Yeah, we know Maleficent Dragon, Stitch Rockstar, Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy.
Pooh, Honey Wizard.
Yeah, a few.
Yep. So I like if that's about the power level of the cards that they're going to be reprinting. I think they're hitting the nail on the head. I don't know about you, but I have a list of demands that I've made regarding rotation, set 9 and beyond, and the future of the game in general.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Do you have demands as well, or am I?
I have like 3.
Okay. I'll go first, and then you can go, and then
you probably will touch on all of mine.
All right. Well, how about I go, then you go, then I go, then you go.
Sure.
All right.
I just have a rant, a little mini one.
Fair enough. Demand number 1. All of the cards that I like to play with will be reprinted.
No.
What do you mean?
Okay,
no?
So that's my mini rant. And anywhere you go, any competitive forum you find, anywhere people are talking about deck lists in their particular deck, they're like, the blue steel players are like, I can't wait for Fishbone Quill to come back. And then the amber steel players are like, surely they'll reprint Ariel and Cinderella and Let the Storm Rage On and Strength of a Raging Fire. And then the red purple players are like, I can't wait for my Merlins and Mims to come back. Mm-hmm. And my newsflash to those people is that the reason we're rotating them is so that we get fresh play experiences. Yeah. And the cards that have been ubiquitous in Lorcana for the last 2 years are not coming back.
No, there's no way. It's absolutely not happening.
Yes.
I know a lot of the Steel Song players saying, what is Steel Song going to look like after rotation? Surely they're going to reprint all of the cards that I like to play with. And we're probably not going to get to keep Let the Storm Rage On. We're probably not going to get to keep Ariel. We're probably not going to get to keep Strength of a Raging Fire. We're probably not going to get to keep A Whole New World. These are all cards that I like to play with, and my first demand is that they all come back and I get to continue to play with them. I don't actually expect that to happen.
The biggest question for me is if it's actually interesting is whether or not Be Prepared or Grab Your Swords will come back, because the game without sweepers is a very different game.
Yeah, a game without a reset button that can't, like, if there's not a way to punish decks for overcommitting to the board and going wide, then that's just going to be an extremely effective strategy, is just dump as much stuff onto the board as you can and and just turn it sideways until you've won the game.
Yeah. I would also echo your demand, but all of the cards I want to play are sticking around in the library, Genie, and Finders Keepers. So I feel like I'm going to be the only person who'll get to draw cards after rotation, and I kind of like that. So
yeah, fair enough.
My demand has been met.
All right. My second demand: all of the cards that I don't like to play against will rotate out.
What cards are those?
I don't like to play against Ursula or Maui or Cinderella or Let the Storm Rage On, or Metamim Fox. Basically any cards that give me trouble winning, I don't like to play against those.
They're probably not coming back. I think you'll be happy with that part.
Wonderful. So there's a little bit of...
I think your opponent's Cindy's are going to be. I think your Cindy's are going to be just as banned as your opponent's Cindy's.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a little bit of a contradiction between my first demand and my second demand because I don't like to play against a lot of the cards I like to play myself.
Yeah, I will say that independently, I would be okay with Cinderella or Let the Storm Rage On getting reprinted. Because like Let the Storm Rage On, when sung by a 3-cost character, is not actually that bad.
Yeah, I agree. And I've mentioned a few times to you and to whoever's listening to me talk that a Cinderella on turn 1 followed by a Let the Storm Rage On turn 2 is often enough to make it so that your opponent should just pick up their cards and go to the next game.
Yep.
They don't ever do that for some reason, but they should. I mean, I know I'm guilty of trying to play through that too. But that I think singing Let the Storm Rage On turn 2 is something that should have never been a part of the game.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Do you have another demand?
I really hope the discard strategy, like discard in general, is just it was a 1 year thing and it never comes back.
I can't agree more. I think there's some discard. Like actually, I think Ursula 2-drop is a very reasonable card to have.
That's not what I like.
But
a sprinkle of discard,
yeah,
as a form of disruption to keep the format fair is a very reasonable thing.
Yeah, we don't need. Okay, go ahead.
Stop printing ward characters that can stay upright, or print more worded character answers.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that demand, and I'm going to add it to my list.
Like Prince John, like a fixed version of Prince. I have no problem with them redoing the cards that were a problem as fixed versions in the future. And like Prince John, I'm even okay with him having word if his his text is
while he's exerted.
Exerted. When you do these things, when your opponent discards a card, you draw a card. Because then, one turn cycle later, you just blast him, and
you get, you have to set it up to either get multiple discards in the same turn to get a lot of value out of him, or he's a 3-cost uninkable most of the time, 2 for 1, and that's not bad.
It also doesn't work on play following like Ursula, like Singer Ursula.
Yeah.
Because it has to be exerted for it to effect to work.
So you can't just play him sing Sudden Chill twice.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my demand.
I like that demand. I have a third demand that's another kind of fake demand, and then I have a couple real things that I'd like to see.
Sure.
Third demand. All of the characters that I like will be powerful and playable cards that I want to play.
What characters do you like?
I like Powerline. I know Rochelle mentioned that we are getting a Powerline card. She said he's going to be one of the most powerful singers in the game. If you look at the songs that we're going to have left after rotation, he's not really going to have a whole lot to do, unless they print some stuff for him to do. But I'm hoping that Powerline is a good card and is a playable card and is a card I like to play. If I were a person of principle, I wouldn't actually be playing Lorcana anymore. I mentioned very early on in 2024 that if we don't have Powerline by the end of the year, I'm going to stop playing Lorcana. And then I qualified for Continentals, so I couldn't follow through on that.
That's fine. I accept that demand.
Wonderful. I appreciate your support, Dave. So the other things I'd like to see, I would like to see a few tweaks to the rules. I would like for reckless to mean what it actually says. I think they kind of missed the mark on how reckless works, because there are a lot of cards that like give reckless, and it's just like chosen opposing character sings a song on their next turn.
So for the viewers, that means if you give something reckless and you have an exerted character, you can't sing with it. You have to actually challenge with it because the card says it must challenge
if able. Yeah. But really, what the text on reckless means is that it must challenge if able, unless it does something else.
Yeah. If it's the end of your turn and you haven't challenged with it yet, now you have to.
Yep. Yeah. So I'd like to see a change to that. I think the mulligan or the alter rule could be adjusted a little bit to be a little less powerful. I think having low variance in a TCG is a good thing because it does allow you to kind of plan a game, play a strategy, understand your lines, play a consistent game. Other TCGs have issues with like you didn't draw enough resource cards, or you had to mulligan, and that's effectively discarding a card just because you didn't get what you needed in your opening hand. So I like starting every game with 7 cards. I like not having to put myself at a disadvantage because my opening 7 was not lucky enough. But I don't like this, this ability to perfectly craft a hand where, you'll play three games exactly the same in a match, over and over. And I'm sure a lot of us have experienced that.
Yeah. I saw a meme that was like, it was the Scooby-Doo one where it was, the guys pulling the masks off with 3 characters. And the first one was like Cindy Let the Storm Rage On. The second one was Diablo Shift. And the next one was like Popsicle Sail Hiram. And when you pulled the mask off, all of them were just Lorcana's very generous mulligan rule.
Yeah.
That is the actual complaint because your opponent just gets to do the thing all the time. And
yeah,
I think that's probably a part of the play draw disparity is that the person on the play just never misses.
No.
With 8, I think with 8 ramp cards and 4 popsicles and 4 develop your brains and a full mulligan, you're like 94%
to hit ramp on turn 2.
Hit ramp.
Yeah.
And
it's an absurdly high number. I don't know if it's that high, but
it's I know it's 5% just to have it naturally, and then you get to develop and popsicle as redraws.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too consistent in my opinion. I think if you want that kind of consistency, you really should be having to play 12 or 16 2-cost ramp cards in your deck. Because ramping on turn 2 on the play, I think is the strongest thing you can do in the game. Especially when you're ramping to Goofy Super Goof. That card is very good at punishing the decks that are good against traditionally good against red blue. You're ramping, you get to play Maui Hero of All or Hero to All a turn sooner, which is very good against the decks that can try to get under the red blue decks. You can play Genie on turn 2 or on turn 3, and he just gets to start questing. There's not a whole lot that can challenge him with evasive, that early on. Yeah, I would like to see maybe a little less consistency afforded by the alter rule. I have some ideas. 7 or 0.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to experiment a little with maybe not that extreme, but maybe more on this extremes like 0, 1, 6, or 7. Like you can keep 1 key card and get 6 new ones, or you can keep 6 and send 1 back.
I think the keeping 1 though is like the most offensive part of the mulligan, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's like, that's where you get to keep your Cindy and find your less at the Storm Rage on, or you get to keep your Diablo and find the A plus B.
Yeah.
And so like that's actually like if I were it's the being able to dig massively for the part that you're missing is the most concern. It's the most frustrating part about the mulligan to me. I recall a game, I believe it was Zan in the finals of Vegas where he full 7'd and then shifted Diablo on 1.
Mm-hmm.
And like that would I was just watching, but like
yeah,
that would if I were playing the game, that would be infuriating.
Yeah.
And like that would still happen if you could only, full 7.
Right.
And that, like,
But
that's part of it. But it's the
yeah.
keeping like the one little Diablo and digging for the big one that
or keeping the big one and digging for the other.
And so like that, I would like to see like like if you weren't going to do full 7s, like a max 3 cards.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever have that experience at a DLC or at any event really where you sit down, you don't know what your opponent's playing, they mulligan first and they ship 6. It's like, oh, okay, my opponent's playing a Diablo deck.
Or it's a popsicle.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a few other tweaks to the rules. Those are the 2 big ones, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Fix Reckless, and don't let us just play the same game 3 times in a match.
Yeah,
because
to the viewer who might be listening and they're like, why are we talking about altering the rules? Something that was quite common in Magic, which is the background that both Bumi and I have, is that they had something called core sets, which is like reminiscent of what Fable is, where it was like a more basic set that was meant to be kind of an introductory outlet to people who are joining the game.
Yeah.
And it came out once per year, roughly. I remember them being called like Magic 2019, Magic 2020.
Yeah, the core sets went through. The core sets had some changes themselves over the years. Like for a long time, they were only reprint sets.
Yep. And then they got some new stuff.
And then they were half reprint sets, and then they were gone, and then they came back, and I haven't kept up with whatever's going on now.
With the annual printing of core sets, they would sometimes adjust the rules for the better.
Yeah.
And that's why we're with Fabled, which is reminiscent of a core set, it makes sense to maybe tweak the rules a little bit. Maybe, probably not. Those are pipe dreams, but like mana, the Reckless one is for sure.
Yeah, I think
that's like Green's primary disruption, and it like just doesn't work.
No. And I think that is a big part of Green's identity of interacting with the board and dealing with characters that are in play. Is giving them Reckless, and then you give chosen opposing character Reckless, and okay, well, I'm just gonna sing Friends on the other side. Yeah. I'm just gonna use this. I'm going to use its exert ability. I'm going to do anything other than challenging, because must challenge if able doesn't mean that.
Yep, I agree.
Other than that, any wishes, hopes for Fabled for reprints, Dave, before we move on to our next topic?
I hope the non reprinted cards really change the play experience. I mean, rotating out 4 sets will, but I get a feeling a lot of the cards that are going to get reprinted are like have been playable in the past or like fringe playable now. And so I hope those are not the predominant power outlets in the new set, and that the new stuff also offers.
Yeah, and for stuff that they're reprinting, I hope that there's kind of some stuff that maybe will have its time in the sun, that got pushed out by Madame Mim Fox, that got pushed out by Medusa, that got pushed out by Big Sisu, that got pushed out by Let the Storm Rage On. It'd be nice for those cards to be playable, but also, to have the new stuff, to have the sets 5 through 8 stuff be, pretty prominent in deck building, and then have stuff from Fabled and the reprints all playable. I'd love that. Next topic, we got some big news today. Some news today. Some people might think it's big. It impacts 28 people in the world, plus the staff who will be at the event. But they announced the world's formats today. And I have those right here. Sorry. Hi, what's up?
I love you.
I love you.
Oh.
Do you want to talk about Super Sealed, Desi?
Hey, Desi.
Hey, Desi.
Say hello.
I'm Mr. Dave.
That's Dave. Can you say hi, Dave?
Dave.
Hi, Desi.
All right. Can you go upstairs with Mom? Yeah, I'm going to sleep tonight. Go get Mom, please. All right. Super Sealed. World's competitors will be playing some number of sealed rounds. I believe it's 3 rounds.
3.
they'll be getting 4 packs of each of sets 5 through 8. They'll be building a 50-card sealed deck that is maximum 3 colors. They'll be playing best of 3 matches against other opponents. This is the first time I think that we're seeing sideboards used in Lorcana. I have thoughts about that. I don't really care for sideboards. I think it's fine and limited.
I think it makes sense in limited.
But yeah, they actually have mentioned sideboards. I'm not super jazzed that this is a format of the highest competitive level event that we will be seeing. But it sounds fun to play. Thoughts on this one, Dave?
I wish I were playing in it. I'm not going to watch it.
Oh yeah, there's no way I'm going to watch limited coverage. Like
so this is very similar to again what Magic has done for a long time in their Pro Tours, which were typically a 2-day event, and on the first 3 rounds of each day were draft formats in Magic. Yep. This is not draft. This is sealed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be open deck list or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this one will be open deck list. I don't know if either format will be open deck list.
Part of what made draft interesting is that you knew what was floating around the table.
Yeah.
And if you were playing somebody next to you, you knew what colors they were on because of the signals that you were, the cards that were getting passed were sending you signals, and this has none of that.
No. Your opponent could literally have any card in their, until they've revealed all 3 of their colors, they could have literally any Lorcana card in their deck from 816 cards.
Yep. What card would you hope for to have in your sealed deck?
I think I would love to open a pool that allows me to build amethyst, emerald, and ruby, because then I could play all of the Tinkerbells I open and all of the fidgets that I open. I think the very best decks are going to have multiple 2-cost ramp cards and very powerful 4-cost evasives. I don't know if there's a whole lot that can be done to beat Sail the Azurite Sea into the Amber and Amethyst Pascal, which is a 3/3 evasive that quests for 3.
Or Genie or Fidget.
All of those cards are incredible. There's a 4-cost Snow White that can't be challenged that we spoke about before. There's not a lot of interaction or removal in these 4 sets. So I think the people who are going to rise to the top of this are going to just be the people who just open the best cards. And that is a gripe that I have with Lorcana Limited is I think when there is a big gap in player skill, the more skilled player is always going to win, because Lorcana Limited is very much a test of understanding of Lorcana fundamentals, what to value and how to proceed through a game. I think when you don't have that kind of skill gap between the players who are playing, I think you can just flip over the game, determine who is going to win, and you'd be right 85% of the time.
Yeah. Interesting about the Cinderella is almost all the actual removal in this format deals 2 damage. And so both Fidget and Genie and Pascal are
out of range of it.
Whereas the Cindy actually gets hit even though you can't challenge the Cindy.
The Snow White, right?
Snow White.
Yeah,
I just expect this to be evasive wars, and whoever has more and sales and T-pos and I'll check out of it. What I will say though is an interesting thing going into the constructed rounds is if you escape 3-0 in sealed, you are not playing a 4-0 constructed deck in round 4.
Right. You're playing somebody who also went 3-0.
And so
in limited, yeah.
Yeah. And so the constructed portion of that is going to be a little weird because it comes preceded based on how you did on the limited portion.
Right. Speaking of the constructive format, you ready to move on?
Yes.
We get triple deck constructed. This is a brand new format that they're introducing for for the Worlds event. Each player has to bring 3 decks, all 6 colors represented among the 3 decks. They'll play best of 3 matches, best of 5 for grand finals, which is pretty exciting. In summary, people can you get to ban one of your opponent's 3 decks, and then you have to beat the other 2 with your remaining 2 decks. When
and
you
have
win,
full knowledge of the deck list.
it says players review their opponent's decks before the match.
Yeah, right.
To me, that reads open deck list. I saw somebody say, that could just mean the colors. I really wouldn't expect that. I would really would expect this to be full open deck list. Yep. You get to see all 3 of them. They get to ban one of their opponent's decks. When they win with a deck, it's done. You have to win 2 games, 1 with each of your remaining decks. If you lose it with a deck, you get to play it again. This, I think, is really cool.
Yeah. So spent a lot of time thinking about this today. I think the level 1 approach is to play 3 good decks, which are probably I think the 3 best decks you could make in these color pairs are red blue, amber steel, and green purple. All 3 are viable decks. There's no easy ban in any of those 3. And I would probably expect that to be the most common 3 deck trio in the 28 players.
I think that's really reasonable. All 3 of those decks have had countless results. They put up numbers. They've done well at Continentals. They've done well at DLCs. They've done well at third party competitive events. I think that's a good approach. I think there is a really cool aspect of kind of mind gaming and metagaming this strategy, because you get to ban a whole color out at least. You can target a color with your deck building, or you could build 3 decks that are weak against 1 color and then just ban that color from everybody.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that, because that would be what I would call level 2, which is the triple aggressive deck strategy that's just going to ban steel.
Right.
And so you could play like yellow, blue aggro, red, purple aggro, green, steel aggro, or whatever's left, and just never have to face a Let the Storm Rage on deck the whole time.
Right.
And like with the red decks, you could just, when you're on the play, hope to Flynn Susu your opponent.
Yeah.
Which is very, very strong on the play when you don't have to worry about steel removal to answer Flynn.
It's pretty good.
And then, for those that have ever have played Hearthstone or watched competitive Hearthstone, this is very reminiscent of the Conquest format from Hearthstone. And a very popular strategy there is to try and single out a deck or color and then bully it.
Yeah.
And just so you would get to ban 1 deck, and then you can even auto lose to another deck as long as your opponent can't win with their 3rd deck.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. As long as you know that your 2 decks will just completely dumpster their 3rd deck.
Yes.
You're probably going to be in good shape.
And I am concerned that we might see that with the color ruby.
Oh yeah.
So ruby, I think almost all the deck building has to start with ruby in this format, because it really only has 2 constructed viable color pairs. You can either play red purple, or you can play
red
ruby
blue.
sapphire.
Yeah.
And both of those struggle on the draw against aggressive colors, both struggle into discard decks, both struggle mightily in to items decks like blue green items, or even ruby sapphire items. And so like if you bring red, especially red purple, I would be very cautious about bringing that color pair, because it's so easily targeted by almost anything.
Yeah, and not just that, like what you pair, what you pair a color with really dictates what other options are available to you. So if you pair ruby and amethyst together, what are you doing with sapphire?
You're playing Kiwi.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Or blue-green items.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable option.
Right, because blue-green items doesn't have to worry about the steel deck.
Right, and then you're left with amber steel, which is a really strong color pairing,
a viable color combination. But in that,
you're probably getting your Steel Song deck banned every time.
Yeah, and then the problem is you might need to win with red-purple against a deck that's either hyper-aggressive or targeting you.
Mm-hmm.
So like a 3-color bully red color pair could be red-blue items paired with yellow-green discard, paired with a very aggressively slanted purple steel with Pete.
Yep.
And so now if you brought red purple, you have to win with that deck on the draw.
Yeah. Into one of those 3 awful matchups for you.
Yeah, and so that's quite challenging. Green steel, we're going to talk about a little later on the podcast, is like potentially being tier 0 toxic horrible.
Yeah.
The world's players are spared from that because I think you'd be pretty crazy to put green and steel together. Those are the 2 colors that collect your most free wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get the Diablo Shift line or Ursula Singing or Prince John Discard.
Yeah.
With Emerald, and then you get all the steel
hyper
cheese,
efficient,
hyper efficient removal spells.
Yeah.
And so if you pair them together, how many games of green steel do you think will be played in the World Championships?
I think green steel will be. I think green steel will be one of the most represented color pairs, and I think it'll probably see the least number of games.
Yeah,
of like the high percentage decks that are brought. Like I don't think we're going to see any any games featuring Ruby and Emerald together. Like that's
but like of decks being bought, I think it'll have the lowest play rate and the highest ban rate. Because it first of all, it's just incredibly strong, and second, you're just pairing the 2 best deck colors together. Now, I will say that if you are somebody, say DKP or Sailor, who really wants to play red-blue, right? You could bring green steel and yellow-purple, and now your opponent either has to let you play red-blue,
which you are one of the 2
highly
masters
proficient at and very capable of winning on the draw.
Mm-hmm.
Or they let you play green steel, which is a tier 0 toxic, miserable deck.
Right.
And so if you were one of those players that really wanted to play that particular color combo and not have it get banned, putting green steel in your lineup almost assuredly means you get to play red blue.
Yeah, and I think that's another really, really deep part of the strategy is if you really want to play one deck, you can put a deck in your lineup that nobody wants to play against.
Yeah. Unless it's green steel.
Unless it's that's what I'm saying. Like let's say let's say you really want to play Ruby Amethyst, and you don't want anybody to ever ban Ruby Amethyst. This is just a hypothetical. Nobody's going to ban Ruby Amethyst against anybody. You could pair that with Emerald Steel, and now you just know you get to play your deck every time.
Yeah, I guess my point was if the deck you want to play every time is Emerald Steel, there's nothing you can do about it. You just never get to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you pair into the person who really, really doesn't want to play against Ruby Sapphire. Yeah. Like they brought 3 mid-range decks that go over the top of everything except Ruby Sapphire. Yeah.
So I think almost everybody is more excited about this than I am. I think the feedback that is online is very positive if you go to the Reddit threads and read it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty down on it. for two reasons. The first is, let's say you did your homework
Mm-hmm.
and you broke the format with Amber Sapphire Puppies, and you built a deck that has a 95% win rate into the format.
Right.
Congratulations, you did it. In almost every TCG, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Is to have the deck nobody knows about, take everybody by surprise, and win with it.
Yeah.
Guess what happens in this format?
You get your busted deck banned after word gets out that you're playing, that your off whatever deck is extremely busted and it needs to be banned.
It might not. You might not even get to play it once. Somebody might look at your deck list and go, "These are the 28 best players in the world." They might look at your deck list and be like, "Oh my god, they did it! They broke it." Bumi's Amber Seal Puppies deck list is at a minimum an 80% win rate deck. I'm never going to beat this. I'm just going to ban it.
Yeah.
So we, the viewer, might never see the best deck
in the tournament.
Yeah.
I think that the format that they have concocted for Worlds is two things that would be fun on their own for a local small level event.
Yep.
I think what we have, though, is not a way to determine who the best player in that room is going to be.
Yes. The other thing that's very sad is that I want to watch Sailor and DKP and Hamza playing Red Blue.
Right.
And I want to watch Ed and Theo and whoever else play Red Purple.
Yeah.
And I want to see Frank Carson play Amber Seal.
Yeah.
And
you might not get the opportunity to do that at all.
I might not get the opportunity to do that.
You might have to watch the limited portion to see that actually happen.
Yeah, and that's not a great viewing experience either.
No.
Right? So
yeah, I don't want to rag on it too much. I think it's going to be a very exciting tournament.
Well, I do have a good thing to say.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the best games of Lorcana are the ones that don't involve steel decks or emerald decks.
Okay.
I think particularly like the red, blue, purple color pie. The triangle of those decks are all very awesome games. There's no free wins. They're grindy. The people are playing, right? They're challenging, playing removal spells, card draw is taxed.
Yeah.
And I think this format is going to almost always have those matches on camera because the steel deck is just going to get banned. And so
that makes sense.
For the most part,
the steel deck or the emerald deck.
Yeah.
Or
so for the most part, we're going to watch awesome games of Lorcana with no free wins where you just get ran out of town.
Right.
By Cindy Let the Storm Rage on or whatever else.
Yeah. Or by Ursula into Prince John, or Ursula into Prince John into Sing Sud and Chill.
Yeah.
One player has a hand of cards and the other player doesn't.
Yep.
Those aren't particularly fun games because the green deck doesn't close out fast.
Yeah.
You just get to watch one person flail around for 10 minutes or 20 minutes while the green steel player gets enough lore to finish the game. So yeah, I agree with you about that. We probably will see some extremely good games of Lorcana.
Yeah. And those are also the matchups where you can draw out of a bad draw.
Yeah.
You can't draw out of a bad draw against green steel. You slip up against them, Diablo and Prince John just bury you.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, the on-camera viewing experience, even if it's not what I personally want to see because I'm friends with
a lot of people who are playing
8 of the people playing in the event, and I want to see them playing, playing their best in their with their decks. That's me being selfish, but the games played, I think, are going to be great.
Yeah,
but it's sad that the TCG dream for us competitive players is to have the deck of the format and be known, be known as the guy who broke it, who was one step ahead of everybody else. And in this format, you don't get to do that. You just have to.
No, you have to play this. You have to play this weird. You have to play this weird metagame strategy where you have to kind of anticipate, which level the majority of your opponents are going to be on, and be one step ahead of those people in terms of understanding which decks you're okay with banning and which decks you need to ban based on what you're playing.
Yeah, so I would expect that every person and their team has a spreadsheet of here are the color pairs. Here's my color pair.
Yeah.
Here are the other color pairs that we could expect to see. Like you could probably throw yellow blue out the window or red green. They're probably pretty unlikely to show up.
Yeah, I think there are a few combinations that just aren't going to exist.
Yeah, and so you would have a spreadsheet for all of these color combinations, what my color combination is going to ban and what I expect them to ban. And so then whether I'm going first or second, which deck I should be playing.
Yeah.
Based on the matchups that are left. And so I think the work to be done to figure all of that out is going to happen between now and June.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's going to be pretty well understood by the time we get there. Yeah. There shouldn't be any surprises. And even if there are surprises, you can just ban it. So
yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about. We know it wasn't in these two infographics, but we know that day 1 will be 7 rounds.
Yes.
We don't know what the cut to day 2 will be. It might just be it might just be a cut to top 8, and they just play the top 8 on the second day on the Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We can discuss some hypotheticals based around that. But you would need to go 5-2 or better to make top 8.
Or right? so assuming that it's a 28-person 7-rounder cut to top 8, there will be between 6. My math says there will be between 6 and 8 people with a 5-2 record or better.
Okay,
so it's possible.
Two sneak in at 4-3.
2 4-3s could sneak in.
So those two 4-3s are going to have very good tiebreakers.
Yeah, they're going to have to do very well in the limited portion,
which means they are going to not have lost 2 matches in the limited part.
Yeah, a slightly sad part about this is that your hero, whoever you're rooting for, could have their day.
Yeah,
day 2 dreams eliminated in the limited portion of the event, which is a little sad.
Yeah, assuming it's a straight cut to top 8 for day 2.
Yeah.
I
can't imagine them cutting to anything else if it was with this.
Yeah. I could see. Yeah, Continentals had a pretty tight cut for day 2. It was top 16 out of 96 in Europe, and then top 16 out of 128 to play in day 2. For Worlds, to make a better spectacle of it, maybe they let everybody with a winning record play on day 2. You go 4-3 or better, you get to come back and play. So you crash out in the limited part. And then you rattle off 4 wins, you get to play in day 2. I think that would be a better way to do it, because they're going to have all of Sunday.
7 rounds is so stingy for your premier event, in my opinion.
I agree.
I just would love for that to have been 9.
I want to watch the best players in the world play a lot of Lorcana.
Yeah, me too.
You talked a little bit about Magic Pro Tours, and they still do Magic Pro Tours where day 1 is Friday, day 2 is Saturday, and I don't know if at present there is a cut to day 2 or everybody just gets to play the whole event, and then top 8 is on Sunday. I think that's a good way to do it. 16 rounds of Magic in a weekend plus the cut to top 8. That's a ton of Magic.
Yeah, and you typically needed a 12-4 record to make it
to make it
into top 8,
this is possibly if it's a straight cut to top 8 and they just want to broadcast all of the top 8 matches, which would take which would take all of a Sunday or all of a second day, some of the best players in the world will play four matches of constructed, and they might not ever get to play the deck that they're known for.
Yeah, so it seems like 5 wins locks you in, right?
Yeah.
So if you go 3-0 in the limited portion and you win 2 rounds, you win your first 2 rounds of constructed, you're in.
Yeah.
You're playing for seeding beyond that, I would guess.
I would, yeah, I guess. So so
but
you just open some, 4 2-cost ramp spells and a bunch of 4 or 3 or 4 cost evasive 2-questers, and sail your way to top cut.
Yeah, I imagine Scott Markelson, I believe is his name. I don't know.
I don't think there's an L in that. I actually played him.
Markelson?
I think it's Markelson, yeah.
He's got to be the happiest person in the world with this announcement, because
he's like the best Magic limited player in the world right now.
I understand him to be well known as a limited specialist in Magic. And those skills translate over very well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an outstanding player. He finished second at Continentals, losing only to Ed, whose deck was designed to specifically beat what Scott was playing.
Yeah.
I played him in top 32 of Las Vegas. He dispatched me 2-0. The games were not even close. I just got completely run over. I spoke to him a lot between rounds at Continentals. He's a really awesome guy. I think he's gonna do really well. Especially with the sealed portion. But he's an extremely proficient constructed player too. He when I played him, he was playing green purple. And he made it to at least top 16. I didn't see how he finished overall in Las Vegas, and then he got second place with red blue. And those are 2 of the decks that we said are part of a really strong trio.
Part of like the level 1 bring the 3 best color combinations.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll be watching.
Yeah, I'm excited to follow along. I know
I get a whole new world if I watch.
They said something about watch parties. They asked us to organize watch parties. So, Dave, I am officially asking if you would like to partake in a watch party with me.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so we have a watch party established. How do I get the promos?
I
send them.
Ravensburger, if you're listening, you can mail it to me. And before we get off of this segment about having to have 3 different deck lists, I know you and I are both minimalists, and Gamegenic, if you're listening, huge fans of the Bastion 50.
The Bastion 50 is
incredible. If you're like us and you want to be a fanny pack gamer, you can fit 3 Bastion 50s in a standard issue Disney fanny pack.
It's true,
and so you don't have to worry about a backpack if that's
I have room in my Disneyland Stitch fanny pack for 3 Bastion 50 plus deck boxes, a couple dice and a pen. So there you go. Yep. If you're going to Worlds, you don't want to travel too light. You don't want to bring a carry on. Put your 3 slim hyper efficient deck boxes in your fanny pack and just call it a weekend. You're ready to go. Yeah. You also do need to figure out how to lug around 16 packs worth of cards for your sealed deck, though.
Do you have to sleeve those?
I don't know. Probably not.
They're going.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm taking them with me after the event's over, unless I go 3-0.
And then we know that the winner of this event gets the 1-of-1 Golden World Championship Mickey.
That's a down payment on a house.
That is an exciting prize. I believe we were made to understand a long time ago that Worlds competitors will get foil copies of the A Whole New World promo. Might be 1 each. It might be some number. I don't know. We don't know anything else about pricing yet. So I'm really excited to find out.
Yeah.
What kind of very sparkly, very prestigious pieces of cardboard these people would be playing for.
Isn't that where people get Nintendo Switches and air fryers?
And air fryers. That's a different game. Lorcana hands out sparkly cardboard, which I really appreciate. I still have one of my pieces of sparkly cardboard left.
Excellent.
Yeah, the other ones have gone to new homes. But I've got one left. It's a nice little keepsake. All right. Moving on. You ready to move on?
Ready to move on. What do we got?
We know that Worlds will be played with the newest set, Reign of Jafar. We have seen this full spoiler list, and again, I think they have kind of tucked a little surprise for us. An oops, yeah, that didn't get revealed until fairly late in the spoiler season. And I know you've played a few games. I've had the opportunity to play a few webcam games. Beyond the Horizon feels like a very toxic card. You have things you want to say about that one? It's
the most oppressive experience I've had in Lorcana to date. When Hiram buried you, you at least got to play the game. You know, there was optimism that you could draw a goat off the top for lethal when they were going to quest a 32 on their next turn or whatever.
Right, yeah.
With Bucky, you could, if you were the red-purple player in the room, which was me, you could do nothing for 7 turns and hope to be prepared off the top.
Yep.
Beyond the Horizon in green steel is just miserable.
Yeah. It puts such a ridiculous squeeze on you to not play anything but also empty your hand.
So the problem, right, is the squeeze with Prince John and the rest of the discard, right? Yeah. Because you need to keep your hand full so that you can amass resources and hopefully get to 7 and can draw be prepared off the top.
Yeah.
But then, so you can't do that in the face of Beyond the Horizon anymore. Can you pull a card up? Can you share? So
yeah, let me find it really quick.
It's a 7-cost uninkable song with Sing Together. And you the player get to choose for everybody in the game whether or not they get to discard their hand and draw 3 cards. So with Prince John, you get to discard your hand and draw 3 cards, and I get to discard my hand and draw 12 cards.
Yeah. This in combination with Prince John specifically creates a pretty tremendous disparity in resources.
Yeah, so the first time I ever did it, I got to sing it with Ursula 3, Ursula Deceiver, who lets you play it twice.
That seems
so. I went Ursula 3, the Muses, Prince John, sing with the Muses and Ursula 3.
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened after that. I just asked my good friend Rick to concede, and he did. Because that resulted in me drawing like a minimum of 15 cards.
They discard however many. You get PJ triggers. Then they
discard 3.
Then they probably discard 4 because you triggered Muses and bounced.
And you can trigger the Muses in the middle.
So you get to draw 6, or you get to draw 3 from Beyond the Horizon. If you don't like those 3, you can
draw 3 again.
Draw 3 again. And then you get all of your Prince John triggers, which is
like a minimum of 4.
A minimum of 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus however many cards they had in their hand before you played the first one,
which could be which is like 5 the first time that ever happened.
So that's 12 cards.
So after I annihilated Rick, I returned the favor and I played red purple and he got to play green steel.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on the play, and I had the curve out of Bog, Chernobog's followers, Pegasus, Peter Pan, Shadowfinder into Genie, and then another Genie. Rick's hand was terrible, and he went pass Prince John. Next turn played the Muses.
Okay.
So so then my 5th turn I played my other Genie, right? So he plays his 5th ink. He plays Let the Storm Rage On my Pegasus, return a genie.
Oh god.
Played Sudden Chill, returned Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
Sang
Beyond the Horizon.
Beyond the Horizon. Made me discard 5 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Which was great.
Yeah.
And returned my other genie, leaving me with a Chernobog in play. And my opponent has 9 cards in hand.
And you have now 4?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had 3 plus the genie going into my 5-ink turn.
And your whole board is gone. Except for Chernobog's followers.
Which can crash into
you get to clear the Prince John.
Yep. That's what happened. And then how are you supposed to win when you're down 12 resources or whatever and have a music to play? Like it was just horrible. That's not even like that. Green Steel is the best version of it, but Amber Steel has the worst, like the most feel bad version of it. Right? They Cinderella. Next turn,
Troubadour.
Let the Storm Rage On your critter.
Yep.
Then they play either Vanessa or Troubadour. Next turn, you have 2 ink in play, right? They Beyond the Horizon, you discard you down to 3 cards. You draw your card for the turn. That's your 4th.
The Amber Steel player also has 3 ink to use that turn.
Yeah.
They can play Ariel. They can play Pete. They can play. It doesn't matter. Like they could hard cast their second Let the Storm Rage On to get your second thing.
Yeah, but the point is, you draw your 4th card, you ink for a turn, you play a card, and then you have forgotten me, and you're empty-handed
on 3 ink.
3 ink and whatever you have in play.
Yep. Now, is Beyond the Horizon the problem, or is it the set 2 cards?
It remains the set 2. This card.
Yeah.
Nobody would have batted an eye if it was in set 9 after Cinderella and Prince John rotated out of the format. But the combination of those together is just
unfun to play against.
Unfun to play against and infuriating. That you can't draw out of it because they get to choose for you.
Mm-hmm. If you are on the draw. If you are on the draw against an Amber Steel Beyond the Horizons deck, you have very limited options to disrupt this high roll if they have it.
Yeah.
You have to be playing Steel and have Fire the Cannons, or you have to be playing Green and have Ursula, and for the Beyond the Horizons to not be hiding in the top 5 cards of their deck.
Yep.
Or you have to be playing Amber or Amber Sapphire and have the new Duck or Bare Necessities, and the same thing, not have the card hiding in the top 5. Another Steel card that does it is Baboom, but that one is much more inefficient than Fire the Cannons.
This I can't fathom registering a deck in set 8 that's not Steel.
Yeah.
You can Zen Syed last set, before Highwayman and Fortisphere got banned, said in the red purple versus blue Steel that your opponent had to have a heart attack for red purple to win.
Yeah.
It feels that way again.
Yeah.
This set has other cool cards in it that are unplayable in the face of Beyond the Horizon.
Yeah, I agree. I think this set is really exciting. As the spoilers were coming out, it's like, man, this set has a lot of bangers. This set seems to have a very high density of playable cards. And then, with maybe about 20 cards left to go, we saw this one. It's like, okay, you can't play anything that loses to Beyond the Horizons high roll.
Yeah, and you need to be able to interact with it, which obligates you to play Steel cards or green cards.
Or green cards, yep.
Like your color, whatever color combinations you play have to involve those two. Like green purple is a playable combination. but
Yeah.
red purple is not in
Nope.
in this format.
No, red purple tries to, control the board and maintain hand size, and like you're just gonna discard down to 3 effectively.
And like,
and it's worse than that. It's not even just discard down to 3. It's discard all of your cards and get 3 random ones.
and there's no rush to do it because it's a song. So you play this in the same turn as you play Pete.
Yep.
And then the next turn you have 4 cards in hand. You'll probably play 1 or 2. And like, I'm loaded up with sudden chills and Lucifers and whatever else. So I'm just gonna like those. You will not survive the turn cycle with cards in hand the following turn.
Yeah, it's exceedingly easy to just get them all in either of the color pairs.
Yeah, my play testing for set 8. We do paper webcam games in our Discord server. We get a lot. The volume of games we get in is absolutely absurd. Because every game is over on turn 3 or 4. Right? You just Oh, and so how many cards can even interact with Prince John into the Muses?
Like cleanly.
Like if I play Ursula, Prince John, the Muses on curve.
I can answer your Prince John by you questing with your Ursula and me challenging it with my Snake or my Rafiki, and then playing Anna, and then challenging Prince John with my other 2 strength.
What if I just exert the Muses?
Oh yeah, I can't even do that. I guess I can get the Prince John on curve with a 1, 2, 3 that you didn't play a 1-drop and you exerted your Ursula. I can play the Anna. On the Muses curve, I can then shift my other uninkable Anna onto my first uninkable Anna, and then challenge in before you can sing Beyond the Horizons on me. So
right.
like
you broke it.
We got all right. The format's fine. Just
okay. So
play lots of
take
Annas.
that same that now you're playing purple. How do you beat the Amber Steel high roll? I guess you pair it with.
I mean the same. I guess you can clear the Cindy pretty easily with any exert effect.
Yeah.
Any targeted exert effect.
You know what deck is floating around in our testing circles?
Chibogo.
No, the 2 cost purple Ursula.
Oh
into Pete, into Gantu, into shift
onto the Ursula. Yeah.
Onto the Ursula. So that Pete and Gantu lock you out of playing songs. You're singing songs for a turn.
Yep.
And then the shift Ursula
locks it out.
Completely locks it out.
That's. I mean, I know the set hasn't come out yet. But if the decks are Beyond the Horizon decks and decks that are specifically including cards to like a tremendous number of cards to beat the Beyond the Horizon decks, I think we're in for a rough couple of months.
Yeah. So like I said, I think this card's probably fine when you rotate out all the problem stuff from set 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Green Steel can sing this very early too because of Shift Diablo. Like you can actually do this on turn 3 with Green Steel too if you Diablo Shift Diablo morph Shift Beast. It's enough.
So Robin Hood or Captain Hook into any 2-drop into Shift lets you sing this on turn 3 as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the optimal build of the deck, but there are a lot of ways. There are a lot of ways to sing this on turn 3 or 4, just with the cards that we have.
Yeah,
And
it's hard to tell whether green steel or amber steel is going to make better use of it. Amber steel, while the effect is not as powerful in amber steel, it both does it faster and more consistently because you have aerial to find it.
Yep.
Whereas with green steel, they make better use of it, and they can even make use of redundant copies, right? Because you can pitch it to Diablo to shift Diablo.
Yep.
And so which one of those ultimately ends up better? Who knows?
I think it depends on what decks rise up around to like counter these, and if people are turning to things like Kiwis, which is pretty good against green steel, or Ursula Pete Gantu, Ursula purple steel. The amber version has the new card Rhino, which I think is very good into both of those strategies, being this one here. He's just a 4/3/2 for 4, but you can shift him on turn 2 and basically shut down any sort of aggression.
Yeah.
You can stymie any attempt to get under Beyond the Horizon with this guy.
Yeah, I was so excited about Red Purple with the new Hades. I have a proxied version sleeved right here.
Yeah.
Until I played into Green Steel this card and was like, I can't pick this up because I thought the new Hades was going to work out pretty cool. Because even against like normal Green Steel, the expectation, right, is that they're going to try and peach you on going into your 7 ink turn.
Right.
I was like, okay, that's great. I'll play Hades and I'll draw 2 cards, and the next turn I'll Be Prepared.
Yep.
Or I'll draw 2 more cards, no problem.
Yeah.
And none of it mattered because I just got discard. My hand just discarded down to 3 cards on turn 5.
Yeah. And people rightfully so have been kind of unhappy with A Whole New World high rolls, which is understandable. They get to draw back up to 7. You discard 5 or 6 of the cards that you crafted your hand around, and you get to go back up to 7. With this, it's like you discard from 5 or 6 cards and you get to go back up to 3. That's not.
There are people that are going to do both.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's happened to me. It's happened to me already. Now this is like Christmas thing kind of stuff, right? But it was like Cindy, Vanessa, Gaston sing A Whole New World. We each draw 7, and then sing
Beyond the Horizons.
Sing Beyond the Horizon, and you discard your 7 down to 3.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all, because me being the Whole New World Beyond the Horizons player, I'm going to choose to not discard my hand and draw 3.
And anywhere in there I get to play 4 ink worth cards, which could be Piglets and Smees, or what other things? Ladies and Daisies, Lady Piglet Daisy, Lady Smee Daisy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's horrible. It's a horrible play experience.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I was just about to say I would expect that I will play probably in one event. So we're both playing in the Ink Invitational.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I'm so
sponsored
excited
by Team Inc.
Yep.
I'm going to be playing steel cards in that. I feel roughly the same way I do about this deck or these decks as I did about blue steel before the Hiram ban, where it's just heads and shoulders above everything else you can do, and if you're not playing it, you're making a mistake. But also, I didn't play Lorcana after that event.
Until you got to play 1 or 2 set champs?
I did play in 1 set champs after the Hiram ban, which was 2 months later. And so I almost just would love for them to rotate sets 1 through 4 early, just get them out of here.
Yeah, and just.
But the interesting thing and the lucky thing is that in the Worlds format, the 28 Worlds players don't have to worry about this because you could just ban the steel deck.
Yeah, you can just ban the toxic deck.
Yep. So this doesn't impact the viewing experience or the enjoyment of the Worlds players because
right.
it does.
I'm very interested to see how many of the oddball worlds decks show up at set champs after after the pilots of those decks and the architect of those decks says these are worlds meta decks, do not play them at set champs. And everybody's gonna go, I'm playing Ed's red steel deck that, he'd never had to play against red cards or whatever.
Yeah. So I do have one interesting thought, right? So we said earlier that the challenge, at least in my opinion, a lot of the challenge is going to be winning with the red deck in this format.
Right.
The green. So I think the two best colors on the draw are green
Mm-hmm.
and blue.
Green and blue. Okay.
Blue because you get the ramp, right? You have
Yes.
the catch up mechanics.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if anybody will show up with Amber Steel, Red Green, and Blurple. With the Red Green deck being like just
Robin
Diablo,
Hoods.
Cove, Prince John, discard. Because
Okay.
it gets that new red. It gets that new
the
red
new
action.
the new dual card. Yeah, that card's fantastic. That card's really good.
And Diablos and Coves win a lot of games.
Yeah.
And both of those decks, to my knowledge, are allergic to Amber Steel.
Okay. You can just ban it.
You just ban it.
Yeah. It's pretty solid.
And so I'm wondering if you can play a 56 card green deck with 4 duels.
With 4 duels. I think
and hide, and try and avoid getting bullied by
the steel deck.
By the steel decks.
Yeah.
That's a way to win on the draw. Like Blurple is an excellent deck on the draw.
Blurple is a very good on the draw game. On the draw deck, yeah.
Which is going to be the challenge of this format, right? It's like everybody, especially when your opponent is likely to be, they're never blind, right? They can,
right.
They likely know what deck you're going to be playing in any of the, in the games. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody brought it.
No, I think there's going to be a good smattering of like lineups that are decks you'd expect that are, your good set 8 meta decks. And then I think we will see a slightly smaller proportion of decks that don't really work in
real life
and not this format. Yeah.
Well,
and I think both. Sorry, go ahead.
In the same vein, it's interesting. So the problem with Blurple in this format, right, is that those are the only 2 colors that pair well with red.
Right.
Right. And if you pair them together, then red's kind of this outlier. The other interesting one is Green Steel, Blurple, and Mufasa.
Mm-hmm. Amber Ruby is a lot better when you don't have to worry about getting your Mother Gothel Let the Storm Rage on.
Yeah. It's a much better deck.
You can just throw her out there on turn 2 and just know you're going to get to draw 3 with Rapunzel in 2 turns.
Yeah, so those are 2 oddball color combinations that are pretty interesting. And nobody knows how good Mufasa has been because nobody's played it since Toronto.
Right.
When
you played all 4 of the Mufasa players in the room.
All 4 of them in the room. We went to war. So there are interesting color combinations out there that could potentially show up.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what these people cook up. What their strategies are. I hope we get interviews with a lot of people talking about, hey, how did you decide on these 3 decks? Yeah. What are some of your strategies? What decks do you want to ban?
If somebody shows up with racers and does well,
you'll be the happiest man in the world.
I will be the happiest. I will be the second happiest person in the United States after the person that showed up and did well with racers, because I have defended the racers for 5 months, for forever long we've known they were coming. King Candy, the 4-cost 2/2 that Tremaine's when a racer gets banished.
Yeah.
I've been defending that card
I think that
publicly for 4 months, just getting
I-
egg on my face over and over and over again.
I think that's pretty funny that the time frame feels that long, but that King Candy is a dual colored card, right?
Yeah, but it was revealed.
Yeah, he was revealed really early on,
roughly 3 months ago.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And I've always said he's a great card, and the rest of the racers aren't.
Yeah, there's some good ones coming.
They all died to let the Stormage run, including King Candy. What happens in a format?
Yeah, that's the thing. Let the Storm Rage on has basically made it so any character with 2 willpower that costs more than 1, really, is unplayable. Just can't put it in your deck.
Yeah. Flynn sees 2 racers. Here we come.
Yeah.
Put them in the speedway.
Yeah, let's go. We are zooming.
Yeah.
Zoom.
All right.
I
got a segment for you.
All right. I'm excited for this one.
Is this the end of it? I've been waiting for this forever.
Yeah, I know. I
thought of this idea the last time you gave me a hard time for not knowing any cards.
All right.
So of the 2 of us, you pride yourself on being a Disney Lorcana expert, knowing all the cards.
Yep. I know every single card. You won't be able to sneak one past
and I often get made fun of for not knowing the text on any cards. So we're gonna end from now on. We're gonna end the show with me quizzing you on cards.
Let's do it.
So there are 14 dwarf cards.
14 dwarf. Okay.
2 of them are easy. They're the Amber Dock.
Mm-hmm.
And the Steel Dock.
Yep.
There's one other pretty easy one that sees some amount of play.
Yep. Happy. Still happy.
So, have at it, buddy. Start.
So Sleepy. Amber Sleepy is a 2-cost 2/3/2. Enters play exerted.
Yep.
Amber Grumpy gives all of your docks +1 strength. 3/3/1 for 4.
3/4/1.
3/4/1. Okay. Amber Happy is. Let's not do Amber Happy. Amber Bashful is 2/5/3 for 4. Can't quest unless you have another dwarf in play.
Fairly good.
Or 2/5/3 for 4, right?
You said
okay. Steel Sleepy is 0/4 Bodyguard. Quest for 1, cost 2. Steel Grumpy. Steel Grumpy is a weird one. He's a 3-cost 3/1/1, and he does something with locations. I can't tell you what he does with location. It's like when you move a dwarf or a knight to a location, it gets evasive and +2 strength or something. Or challenger +2.
Some of those words appear on Grumpy, but
okay. I don't know. Amber Dopey Amber Sneezy is a 2-cost 1/4/1. When you play a dwarf character, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Steel Dopey deals 1. He's a 2/2/1 for 3. When you play him, if you have another knight in play, deal 1 to chosen opposing character.
I'm pretty impressed. You've actually missed the only playable one.
The only playable one? Well, we talked about I thought Doc and Happy were given, right?
Oh, I didn't give you happy. You
Oh, okay, yeah. The steel one cost happy. 2/1,
yeah.
1 for 1. He gains evasive on your turn.
All right. So you have 2 amber ones left
Okay.
and 3 steel ones.
So
But Grumpy you've beat around the bush on.
Okay. One of the amber ones I know I'm missing is Happy. And he has support.
Yes.
And I think he's either, I think he's a 2/4 in Quest for 2. No? 3, is he 3/4?
I just don't know all the cards. I'm
That-
pretty impressed. You've already done fairly well. You've gotten
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. So of the 12,
Mhm.
you've gotten your 7. You've gotten 7 of them. There's 5 left.
5 left. Let me go through the
Happy
list.
you're beating around the bush on. I'll give you happy because you got the support. He's a 3/5 for 5.
Oh, he's a 3/5.
You're
for 5.
missing
Okay.
1 amber one.
Yeah. That would be, so we have Doc, Grumpy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Dopey.
You're missing Dopey.
Oh, I didn't do Amber Dopey?
I don't think you did.
Oh,
I haven't X'd him out.
okay. Amber Dopey, I think, is also a 3 cost 2/1, and when he is banished, something happens when he's banished. Opposing characters lose strength.
I'm quite impressed that you've even made it that far.
Okay. Let's hear it. Let's hear what that one is.
All right, since he's the last amber one, I gotta change the color because you missed this one.
Okay.
Dopey is a 3 cost 2/1. When this character is banished, your other 7 dwarf characters gain +2 strength until the end of the turn.
Oh, they gain strength. Okay.
Okay, so the steel ones you're missing are Sneezy, Bashful,
Okay.
and you've beat around the bush on Grumpy.
On Grumpy. God, what is the Bashful? These ones are escaping me completely. So like the amber ones were set to when we had to know all of the cards because there were so few, like really anything could go in your deck. The set 5 ones, we didn't have to pay attention to cards that were less than very good. I don't think I'm gonna get them, Dave.
Bashful is the one that requires Snow White to be in play.
I did not even know one of them required Snow White to be in play.
Yeah, so Bashful has Bodyguard while Snow White is in play. He's a 4 cost 3/3/1.
Okay.
3/4/1.
3/4/1,
Sneezy
okay.
is a 4 cost 3/4/1, and whenever you play this character, chosen knight gets challenger 2.
Okay.
And then Grumpy was the one that you were really all over on.
Yeah.
3 cost 3/1/1.
Okay, I got that part right.
While one of your knight characters is at a location, that character gains resist 2.
Okay.
And then he also has the happy text. He's evasive.
Oh, he himself has that.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's evasive fun.
Okay. Hold it up. Let me see how I did. I know you told me, but I'm a visual person.
So I actually did the colors backwards.
Uh-oh.
So it's might tilt you.
That's okay.
So the reds you got, and the blues you missed.
And the blues I missed.
And the greens
are the 2 freebies. Yep. I was actually thinking about putting Amber Bashful in a list recently.
Oh no.
I mean, he quests for so much. You can play.
How do you get another? Oh, is the other dwarf just Doc?
Yeah, Doc, and Happy. You just get to play 16 dwarves in your deck. They work with each other too. If you have 2 Bashful in play, they can both quest for 3 every turn.
That's funny.
But
Sisu doesn't exist, right?
Sisu doesn't exist. Brawl doesn't exist. Beyond the Horizon, High Roll Cheese doesn't exist. We can
All
just
right.
we can just play cards for 4 and turn them sideways in this world, and that's fine.
Yeah,
All right.
that was fun.
This is a fun
Good
chat.
to be back.
I'm so happy to be back. Hopefully not a 6-week hiatus for the next one.
Well, yeah. So in 2 weeks is Ink. Well, I guess 3 weeks is Ink.
Is it 3 weeks? It's
June 7th.
I think that
seems like 3 weeks away.
I'm getting on an airplane 2 weeks from tomorrow to fly out towards you to go to Inking.
All right, 2.5 weeks.
I'm not gonna say 2 weeks in a day is 2.5 weeks. I'm not gonna do it.
The event is in 2 weeks and 2 days.
Okay, fair enough. For me, it starts on that Friday.
Yeah, so we're same 60ing, right? We gotta report back.
Yeah.
You own green cards?
I can acquire green cards, I suppose.
Yeah. They're all rotating, so they're going to be pretty cheap. Imagine TCG players got discounts on the... Do you have birds?
Yeah. I have common birds. I don't. I never cared to play green cards, so I never bought green cards.
Yeah, don't blame me.
If I were attending Worlds, I would have to spend so much money on cards because I've only ever bought Amber and Steel cards. Plus extremely cheap legendary cards.
Yeah.
Just to fill out a collection a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to it. I likely am going to be trying to BTH cheese people, and hopefully they won't be trying to do the same to me. Maybe we should wait to publish this one a little bit.
No, I mean everybody knows.
Oh, I know. It's not a secret at all.
You can't have Bannable Harka, saying there's one playable card on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. and Terrace Black going to Riftbound.
Lighting everybody up about trying to play red purple into
Beyond the Horizon format.
So it appears his opponent did not have a heart attack and go to the hospital for that one.
Yeah.
So it didn't work out, but
yeah,
it's been fun.
We'll see. Yeah. I will. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye, Dave.